They say the drama ends when the cameras stop rolling, but for CarlosKing, the real show started when the lights went out. The man who built an empire out of chaos is now living through the kind of scandal he once orchestrated. For years, Carlos was untouchable, the creative genius behind some of reality TV's most iconic moments. He knew how to make audiences scream, cry, and tune in week after week. But behind the glamour, whispers started to spread, and soon those whispers turned into a storm. Networks cut ties, collaborators turned cold, and suddenly the king of unscripted television found himself in the middle of a plot twist no one saw coming. Rumors of betrayal, power struggles, and behind-the-scenes manipulation have turned Carlos's world upside down. Was he the villain who went too far, or the visionary punished for knowing too much? The lines are blurred, the stakes are real, and the truth might be messier than any reunion special he's ever produced. This isn't just a story about one man's fall from grace. It's about what happens when the puppet master becomes the story, and the game he created starts playing him. For a long time, CarlosKing was the mastermind behind some of the biggest reality TV hits, the man who could turn everyday drama into cultural phenomena. From LoveAndMarriageHuntsville to the Real Housewives of Atlanta, his touch was gold. He had this rare ability to spot energy, tension, and chemistry between personalities that would ignite on screen. Audiences didn't just watch his shows. They lived them. Every argument, every tear, every confession felt raw, real, and addictive. Carlos had mastered the formula of reality television like no one else. He didn't just produce stories, he engineered them. Behind the scenes, he was known for his intensity, his precision, and his obsession with getting reactions that made viewers talk for weeks. But success like that doesn't come without a cost, and in Carlos's world, that cost was high. The same fire that fueled his ambition also began burning everything around him. Insiders say his relationships with cast members and executives were often complicated. While he could inspire loyalty, he could also spark resentment. He pushed people to their limits in the name of great television. Some called him a genius, others said he went too far. For years, the tension stayed hidden under the surface. Networks loved his numbers, and as long as ratings soared, they were willing to overlook the chaos that came with working under his leadership. But then came the whispers. A few small leaks, quiet stories that something wasn't right. It started as gossip in production circles, talk of arguments behind the scenes, of Carlos clashing with executives over creative direction. At first, no one took it seriously. After all, it was CarlosKing. He was untouchable. He had created shows that defined a generation of reality TV. But when those whispers turned into official reports of an internal review, things took a sharp turn. The networks began distancing themselves. Behind closed doors, meetings grew tense. There were debates about the ethics of how far producers should go for ratings. The question was simple but dangerous. Where is the line between reality and manipulation? Some claimed Carlos crossed that line more than once. Then came the breaking point. A fight on one of his sets reportedly spiraled out of control. What was meant to be another heated argument for the cameras turned physical, and the footage was not pretty. When details started leaking online, chaos followed. The network scrambled to protect its image. Statements were made about zero tolerance for unsafe environments and creative accountability. Then came the blow that shocked everyone. CarlosKing was out. The announcement was short, polished, and painfully corporate. Creative differences. A phrase that can mean everything or nothing at all. Fans were stunned. How could a man who built the empire suddenly be shown the door? On social media, debates exploded. Some defended him fiercely, saying the industry was punishing him for being bold, for doing what others were too scared to do. Others claimed this was karma, that his hunger for control had finally caught up with him. Through it all, Carlos stayed quiet. For a moment. Then came the live video that changed everything. Sitting in front of the camera, eyes heavy but voice steady, he spoke from a place that felt raw and real. "I built shows that changed lives," he said. "I gave people careers, and now I'm being treated like I'm disposable." The comment section erupted. Some called him brave for speaking his truth. Others said it was deflection, another performance. But one thing was clear. This wasn't just a professional loss for Carlos. It was personal. It was betrayal. The man who made a living scripting chaos was now watching his own life unravel in real time. For someone like CarlosKing, who had always been in control of the narrative, that loss of power cut deeper than anything else. And just like that, the story had turned. The Kingmaker had become the headline, and the industry he helped build was now deciding his fate. After the dust began to settle, the story took a darker turn. The networks might have cut ties publicly, but privately, the conversations were far more complex. Insiders revealed that Carlos had been warned multiple times about the boundaries he was pushing. Executives allegedly told him to tone down the manipulation, to let the drama unfold naturally instead of orchestrating explosive moments. But Carlos had built his entire empire on high-stakes storytelling. For him, toning it down meant losing what made his shows powerful. Those clashes reportedly escalated into shouting matches and creative standoffs. He believed he was protecting his art, while the network saw it as him refusing to follow orders. When the leaked footage from that on-set altercation surfaced, the decision to cut him off became the easiest path for the network to protect its reputation. The moment they found a scapegoat, they used it. What made things worse was how quickly the industry turned on him. People who once praised his vision now stayed silent, afraid to be associated with controversy. Some even fed into the backlash, painting him as difficult, controlling, and toxic. Former collaborators came forward with their own stories, saying Carlos valued ratings more than people, and pushed emotional buttons just to get reactions. One even said that he treated reality TV like a chessboard, with cast members as his pawns. Whether true or exaggerated, those stories stuck. They became the new narrative, and Carlos's name was now synonymous with exploitation. The internet played its part, dissecting old interviews and scenes from his shows, pointing out moments that now seemed darker in hindsight. Viewers began questioning what was real and what was manufactured. It was as if every episode he had ever produced was being rewatched under a microscope. Through it all, Carlos didn't stay silent for long. His second live broadcast was angrier, sharper, full of defiance. "You can't cancel what you didn't create," he declared, his words echoing across social media. It was both a defense and a warning. To some, it sounded like denial. To others, it sounded like a man reclaiming his power. Either way, it reignited the debate. Was Carlos being punished for going too far or for being too good at his job? As the noise around his name started to fade, something began to shift in CarlosKing's approach. The public anger, the isolation, and the loss of corporate backing seemed to push him into a period of quiet rebuilding. Sources close to him said that after the second live broadcast, he pulled back from the spotlight intentionally. He started meeting with smaller production teams, exploring ways to create content independently without the interference of network executives. He wasn't just trying to survive. He was planning a new empire. Whispers started that he was developing his own streaming platform dedicated to unfiltered storytelling, a space where creators could control their narratives without being censored by boardroom politics. For Carlos, it wasn't just about business anymore. It was about redemption and legacy. He wanted to prove that he could rise again, not through controversy, but through ownership. But even as he plotted his comeback, the emotional weight of what happened stayed with him. The betrayal had left scars. Those who once smiled in his face had vanished when the headlines turned. The man who had spent years directing others' emotions was now confronting his own, forced to sit in the silence he had once filled with chaos. Insiders say that time away from the spotlight changed him. He became more introspective, more cautious, but no less ambitious. His new vision was to create shows that still carried the emotional intensity of his earlier work, but with a stronger focus on integrity and authenticity. It was a way of rebuilding trust not just with the audience, but with himself. Whether he succeeds or not remains to be seen, but one thing is clear: CarlosKing isn't done. His story has shifted from scandal to survival. He knows how the game is played, and he's preparing to rewrite the rules. This time, he isn't chasing approval from executives or validation from viewers. He's chasing purpose. The same mind that once created reality TV's most iconic moments is now trying to reshape the very system that turned against him. And if there's one thing CarlosKing has always done well, it's turning chaos into opportunity. If you've been following this story from start to finish, you know this isn't just about one man or one scandal. It's about power, control, and the cost of chasing success in an unforgiving industry. CarlosKing's journey proves that even the masterminds behind the curtain aren't immune to the spotlight they create. But what do you think? Was Carlos a victim of his own ambition or a visionary punished for playing the game too well? Drop your thoughts in the comments, because this story is far from over, and you already know EchoSpill will be watching every move as it unfolds. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next twist in this ever-evolving saga.